Welcome everybody to another practice tips. Today we're going to talk about putting practice. My name is Jose Osa and thanks for joining me. I'm going to show you my 5 favorite putting games to practice with, and then at the end of the video I'm going to tell you what the best advice I've ever gotten in putting is. Let's get started in no particular order, starting from number 5 down to number 1. Number 5. Putting Confidence Program by Mark Ellis. I will link below on the video so you can go check it out for yourself. I'm going to condense it very much. This one is for beginners or for people who are having a really hard time putting and basically need to start from scratch. The basic concept of this Putting Confidence Program is just like the title says, is to give you confidence. Confidence when you step up to a 10-footer, 15-footer, confidence that you're released, that what you want to do is what happens. You have to start so close to the basket in order for this to happen. Don't worry about looking silly to people around you. They don't know what you're doing and you're going to get a lot better. The concept is you take 2 putters and you start out at the basket and you take one step, just one nice long step. You're going to take those 2 putters and, taking your time, you're going to throw the putter into the basket. Then the next one. You're going to do this over and over again until you kind of start developing a feel for your release. Now you're really close. You're only 3-4 feet away, 3 feet. It's not about making it, okay? It's not about putting it into the basket. It's about getting that confidence with your throw. When you feel confident enough, you're going to take another step. So now you're about 6 feet away. You want to do this for 30 minutes a day, breaking it down into 15-minute segments apiece because we want to concentrate. This exercise is very easy to just kind of get lost in it, lull, and just rifling in, not thinking. You're on autopilot. You don't want to do that. You want to have the confidence. You want to set up just like you're out there on the course, focus and release, and understand what it is you're doing, what your body's doing. You should not go out to 3 steps if you're just starting on the first day. It took me, I can't remember, this was a long time ago, but it took me many days to get out to 3 and then 4 steps. It's just confidence. You want to hit that same spot over and over and over again. Just really confident that you're propelling the disc forward in the way that you're confident. And guess what? Whenever you go out to the course, those old scary 10-footers are not going to be scary anymore because you've done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. 30 minutes a day for a month. So once again, 2 putters only. Start at 1 pace away from the basket. Get confident in your release. Once you're confident, you take another step back. Once you're confident at that pace, and go all the way around the basket. Take a 3rd step. 4th step. It's going to take many days to get to that 4th, 5th step. 30 minutes a day. Break it up into 2 15-minute segments so our concentration doesn't wane. Number 4, Perfect Putt 360 app developed by Chris Zagone. This is a wonderful tool. I use it to evaluate how I'm doing. After I've been practicing for several days, I'll play Perfect Putt 360 just to see how I'm doing, how I'm progressing, and it keeps the score in the memory. And you can go back and you can see your progress. It has progress chart on a graph. It's really cool. The concept is here. The basic idea of Perfect Putt 360 is you want to mark off distances from 10 to 30 every 5 feet. You're going to take 10 putters and you're going to make all the 10 putts from 10 feet, 15 feet, 20, 25, and 30. Now the first putt of the series and the last putt of the series count for extra points because it is added pressure to simulate your environment when you're out there on the course. It's a tougher putt. And also extra points if you make all 10. Then you do this twice after you do 1 through 30. You do it twice, and that gives you the total score. If you get a perfect score, it's 360 points. Perfect Putt 360. It is a fantastic app. Please download it. Perfect Putt 360. It's a great way to measure your progress or to simply go out and use it as one of your training tools. Number 3, the pressure cooker. I just gave it that name. It's a very common game. So many people have used it, and I've heard from so many people, so there's no one person I can give credit to. Whoever invented it, fantastic game. The concept here, pressure. You're going to mark off distances from 10 to 30 feet every 5 feet. Next, you're going to choose the number of putters you want to use. I like 4, 5 putters. Go to the first station in 10 feet, and you're going to make all 4 or 5 putters that you choose. If you make all the putts from the 10-foot station, you may proceed to the 15-foot station. Make all of those, and you can proceed to the next station. However, if you miss one putt, you stay at that station until you make all the putts, and then you can proceed. If you miss 2 putts, then you go back 1 station. If you miss 3, you go back 2 stations. It's all about pressure. The game is done when you make all your putts from the 30-foot station. Pressure cooker, fantastic game. I have heard craziness like Paul Ulibarri playing this game with 7 putters. That's just ridiculous. Another one of my favorites, the pressure cooker. Number 2, All In by Scott Papa. This is a great, great game. I love this one. Here, we're going to practice our regular stance and a secondary stance because it's very important to have different types of putts. I prefer as my secondary stance to use a straddle. You may choose a turbo, whatever other stance you want to work on. I use 6 marker discs because I have 3 different directions that I want to practice in. I want to have uphill putts, downhill putts, and regular distance, regular height putts, or also headwind, tailwind, and crosswind putts. I want to practice all of them. I'll take 2 discs, one representing the regular stance and one representing the secondary stance. And I'll start at 3 paces from the basket. I'll set them down. Then I choose how many putters I want to use. I like to use 4. I'll go to the first station and I will putt all 4 putters with a regular stance. If I make all those putts, then I take 1 step back. I've advanced. Then I make all 4 putts with the secondary stance. If I make all 4, that marker joins the other one. If not, it stays there and I go to the next stance. I go all the way around. I do this for 30 minutes. Why 30 minutes? Because our concentration starts to wane after 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, it is evident where I need the most problems, where I have the most problems. It might be a downhill straddle putt. After I'm done, I focus on those downhill straddles from that distance, 28, 30 feet downhill straddles, and I just do that for another 10 minutes to solidify that putt to get it better. That way we are spotting our weakness and we're working on it. Again, 6 marker discs. Start at 3 paces away. 1 marker for regular stance, 2nd marker for secondary stance. 4 putters. If you make a all, you progress. You miss 1, you stay there. Go all the way around for 30 minutes. Then you take the closest marker to the basket, that represents your weakest putt, and you work on that for an additional 10 minutes afterward. That's all in. Highly recommended. That brings us to number 1, my favorite game to practice putting. I call it the spread. Just how it sounds. You're going to take all your putters and you're going to spread them around the basket. From 10 to 30 feet to 40 feet, whatever you want to practice. We're going to putt from each one. We're going to take our time. It's not a race. Simulate real world conditions, whether you're in a tournament or playing with your friends. You're going to take your time. I'll put 1 regular stance, and then I'll put 1 with my secondary stance, be it straddle or turbo. Heck, I don't even want to think about where I'm going to next. So a trick that I use is wherever that disc lands that I just made, then I will draw a line between the disc and the pole, and I'll choose a disc that's nearest on that line, whether behind the basket or close to where I am on my side of the circle where I'm standing. Let the basket and the disc decide where your next stance is going to be. That way you're not thinking about where you're going to go to next. You're thinking solely on making the putt and going through your routine, through your motion. Do your whole routine. If you use a marker disc, use a marker disc. Again, the spread. Let's go over this one more time. The more putters you have, the better. I use 35. Spread them around. 1 at a time, 1 regular stance, 1 with your secondary stance. Simulate tournament or round conditions. Use a marker, go through your routine, take your time, make all the putts. So those are my top 5 games to practice putting with. That takes the monotony out of it. I can pick and choose whichever one I want to do on any given day, and it makes practice fun, which is the most important part about practicing. But before I leave, I want to tell you the best piece of advice I have ever received in putting, and that was given to me by Evan Gerthy. This one is 30, inside 30 for 30. 30 minutes, inside 30 feet for 30 days in a row. Why? You will understand when you start doing it. For years and years and years, I have rested on my laurels. I'll go out and I'll practice for 4 or 5 days, or maybe 2 or 3 days, and I figure out like, oh my goodness, I found the putt, I'm doing great. And then I go out and putt, and guess what? It disappears just like that. We rest on our laurels. We have to continue doing it every single day. Putting is an everyday thing. Work on all other areas of your game as well, but putting, you've got to do it every single day. Another piece of advice that I give you is take notes. Our brains are made for coming up with ideas, for figuring out problems, solving problems. They're not there to retain information. So just because you know what all of a sudden what you were doing wrong and you figured it out and you'll never miss again is the way you think, we're going to forget. make notes. I use my my phone. I'll record important pieces of information later on if I'm like, oh my goodness, what was it that was working so well for me? I can't remember. Guess what? It's recorded on my phone. I can go back and look, and it kind of jogs my memory. It's like, okay, that was it. Whatever it may be, stance, what you're looking at, movement, slow reach back. It could be a number of things, but you will forget if you don't take notes and if you don't work at your putting every single day. So my name is Jose Osa. I hope you have enjoyed this practice tips and that it helps you become a more confident, more successful putter. It has helped me tremendously this last year. And until the next time, have fun when you're practicing.